Hi! In the previous video, link below, I made a on-screen keyboard with a text box. One row of text with a limited number of letters in the ct.js-editor with PIXIjs. In this video, I will change this a bit, making the writable area larger, making it into a text area. I will still only use the keyboard and buttons on the screen. The method for entering text will be much the same. One difference will be that we will be using word wrap and word wrap width, and we will have space and return. Going forward, a small disclaimer. This is more of a documentation of me trying to figure out how to do stuff. I don't claim any expertise, and any use of this stuff is done on your own risk. That out of the way. Like with the text box, we use a PIXI text to print the text on the screen. This text label holds the text to be printed and the font to be used. We set style word wrap to true for this text label. The text can now be set to shift to a new row when the text has reached a certain length. Style word wrap width set at which width in pixels a line will break and the following text will move to the next row. The break will be at word level. We set it here to 440 in accordance with the text area that has been drawn on the background. So the text will automatically break to fit the width of the text area. Similar to the text box version, we will be using a blinking caret to mark the position from which the next letter will be added or where a letter will be deleted. In the text box version, the caret always was at the end of the text string. In this example, we will be able to move the caret inside the string. To be able to do that, we will need a variable to keep track of the position of the caret in the string as it is printed. How to determine how the string to be printed will look, we will be working with a number of different strings. Text area is a global variable. This will hold the string without any caret. It is a global variable since we might want to use this string elsewhere in the game. This is the same as in the text box example. Using the caret position, we will split the text area string in two parts, one in front of the caret and one behind. Those strings will only be used within this room and this tab, so they can be local. The string to print will then be front plus sign for caret plus back, or front plus empty space plus back. Depending on a timer, caret or empty space will be shown, giving the illusion of a blinking caret. This is the same as in the text box example, except that the caret now can be inside the string. The text is actually added to the screen under the Frame End tab. To be able to move the caret inside the string, I've added two arrow buttons that will move the caret backwards or forward in the string. The buttons are just drawn on the background and are clickable based on the position of the mouse cursor. This is the same as the keys on the keyboard on the screen and other buttons on the screen. Compared to the text box example, I've also added a key for space and a key for return to the keyboard. This will either add an empty space or a line break to the string at the position of the caret. I have also added two buttons for deleting a letter from the string before the caret or to delete all text. We had those functions in the text box example too, but the buttons looked a little bit different. This and the possibility to move the caret will make it possible to move in the string and add or remove letters inside the string. This gives us a text area with some simple ways to edit the text. Not very sophisticated, but still some basic functionality. The text can now become larger than what there are room for in the text area. The word wrap function will stop the text from being too wide, but the number of rows could make text label too high to fit in the box. Technically, the width could be too wide too, but that requires that you do not have any empty spaces in that row. I have put in two buttons that make it possible to move the text label in the Y direction, giving us a scroll function, but the text can still be printed both inside and outside the text area. What I need now is a mask from PIXI.graphics and a container from PIXI container. I define them under Room Start tab. For the mask, I set the rectangle the size of the text area and set the containers X and Y to the coordinates of the top left corner of the text area as drawn on the background. And I add the rectangle as a mask to the container. And finally, I add the container to the room. This print name will now be the text with the caret, and everything is now set to add this as text to this text label and add text label to the container at the end of Frame tab. The text will now be shown in the text area. Text outside the text area will be masked off. And there we are, a primitive basic text area. Over here I have an empty key. I could use that for shifting the keyboard between high case and low case as a shift key. I could have an additional setting making the keyboard containing numbers, punctuation and other useful signs, making the keyboard having more functions. I don't really see that making a text area for writing text is something I will have a practical use for, but it was fun putting together and also nice to learn something new. A text box certainly could be useful for giving a player the possibility to choose a player name. Having a text area to show text with information might be useful too. A last thing that I will do is at the end of the room I will destroy graphic this mask. I do this to avoid a risk of memory leak. There are warnings in the documentation for memory leaks, so to be on the safe side I destroy the graphic. This is one area where I don't know enough, so I try to play it safe. Well, that will be all for now. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye.